For years they treated my sister like the perfect daughter and me like the jealous problem child, until one wedding speech exposed the truth nobody wanted revealed. My older sister Natalie was the center of our family universe for as long as I can remember, the beautiful daughter, the successful one, the person every relative bragged about at holidays while I quietly existed in the background like an afterthought. And honestly, I learned pretty early that in our family appearances mattered more than reality, because Natalie could lie, manipulate, and hurt people constantly as long as she looked graceful doing it, while I got labeled dramatic anytime I pointed out obvious problems everyone else ignored. And nowhere was that more obvious than in the way my parents treated our relationships, because when I got cheated on in college my mother told me heartbreak was part of growing up, but when Natalie cried over a 2-week breakup my father nearly hired a private investigator to make sure the guy wasn't hiding something. And after years of living under that imbalance I stopped trying to compete for love that clearly wasn't distributed equally. But everything changed the year Natalie got engaged, because suddenly the entire family became obsessed with protecting the image of her perfect relationship. And honestly, from the beginning something about her fiancé Daniel felt off to me, not in an obvious way, but in the way he constantly looked exhausted around her, like he was carrying some invisible weight nobody else noticed. And over the months leading to the wedding I started catching strange little moments: Natalie panicking anytime Daniel's phone buzzed, my mother having whispered arguments with her late at night, my aunt telling me to stay out of grown-up business after I accidentally overheard them discussing timelines and medical appointments. And slowly I realized the family wasn't just planning a wedding, they were covering something up. But every time I asked questions people acted like I was trying to ruin Natalie's happiness out of jealousy, which honestly made me feel insane, because deep down I knew there was a reason everyone looked nervous whenever Daniel talked about the future. And then came the wedding day, the event my family spent nearly a year and hundreds of thousands of dollars turning into a performance about how perfect Natalie's life supposedly was. And for most of the evening, everything looked flawless from the outside: luxury venue, string quartet, emotional vows, relatives crying during speeches, but underneath it all the tension felt suffocating, because Natalie kept disappearing to the bathroom while my mother followed behind her looking terrified. And halfway through the reception I accidentally walked into one of the side hallways searching for the restroom and heard Daniel arguing with my father behind a closed door saying, "You promised me the dates lined up." And suddenly my stomach dropped, because I instantly understood what everyone else already knew. But before I could process it fully the door swung open and Daniel saw me standing there. And I'll never forget the look on his face, because it wasn't anger, it was relief, like someone finally caught the lie he was trapped inside. And a few minutes later during the reception speeches Daniel stood up unexpectedly holding a champagne glass with shaking hands, while Natalie's smile completely disappeared. And in front of nearly 200 guests he calmly said, "Before tonight goes any further, I think everyone deserves the truth." And I swear the entire ballroom stopped breathing, because my mother immediately stood up whispering, "Daniel, please." But he ignored her and continued, explaining that 3 months before the engagement Natalie confessed she was pregnant and insisted the baby was his, which pushed him into proposing much faster than planned because he believed he was starting a family. Except weeks later he secretly discovered medical records proving Natalie was already